What's going on, Wargamers? We're back and we're going over the Adeptus Custodes Codex. So we're going to go ahead and open this up for the first time. I just took the plastic wrapper off of it and opened it up. And here we go. So diving right in, we have got some great, fantastic grayscale artwork. And we're not going to go ahead and read all of it, but we're basically just going to go ahead and give you the gist of what's in here. I got my head down just digging into this beautiful thing. There's the full color version of the art that was in the opening. If you want to get a more in-depth look, you'll have to go ahead and slow these down. I'm not trying to make it so you guys can copy this and read it, just trying to give you a gist of what's in here, mainly for the stats and things like that. Rise of the Primarch, so a little bit of Robert Ghoulmane, however you pronounce him. So really good explanation of heraldry here. Solar Watch, these are the guys that guard Terra. And that book just smells so good. So the Tale of the 10,000, so there's supposedly 10,000 of these Adeptus Custodes. Oh, more full color art. This kind of stuff, this is what we've been missing like the entire time that I've been into Warhammer 40,000, since the 90s. These guys, I've scratch built some of these out of High Elves and Space Marine kit bashings and stuff like that. Just really been so excited that they decided to make a full army of these guys, because I had been collecting a whole bunch of them ever since they came out with the plastic guys that came in the box game, but I was picking those sets up on eBay. But now I've been snatching up these new kits on pre-order, so it's like, I guess you could tell I'm giddy. It's like a dream come true. So here we are. Some examples. I'm going to end up with like a ridiculously sized army. I've already point costed it out, and I've got about 3,000 points of custodes. I just need to finish building them. Ooh, these guys are interesting. The Custodian Guard of the Shadow Keepers. Now that's a paint scheme right there. It's got them black with the gold and red. I like that. I hadn't seen that before. The Solar Watch is cool, but I have a lot of trouble painting some clean bone colored white. But it's kind of like an Ulthwain type of white color. Very classy. Like, I almost feel like the typical custodes are just way too gold. You know, there needs to be a lot more color to break it up. Even here, they didn't paint any red in the shoulder pads on some of these guys. And when it's just like silver and gold, it's almost too much. But, you know, everyone's going to do their own thing. I think the gold and red is perfectly fine. I prefer visually to see more colors come in and break it up. So, lots and lots of text and reading to do before we're even getting to stats. And here we are. We finally get into stats. And what we've got is, on this side is Captain General Trajan Valoris. So he's the new character that we'll be unveiling here soon. And his stats are 6-inch move, 2+, 2+, 5, 7 wounds, 5 attacks, 10 leadership, and a 2+ save. So he's armed with a Watcher's Axe and a Misericordia. So the Misericordia is going to give him an additional attack, but with different stat lines than his Watcher's Axe. So he'll get -2 AP and 1 damage for his additional attack. It says each time the bear fights, makes 1 additional attack with this weapon, unless it's also equipped with a Storm Shield, which he's not. So basically he's going to have 6 attacks, with one of them being weaker than his other 5. So his other 5 attacks are going to come in with the Watcher's Axe and melee. And that's going to come in at strength 10, so this guy's a tank buster, at -3 AP and D3 damage. This guy's a machine. And the Watcher's Axe during shooting, it's alright. It's 24-inch range, rapid fire 1, strength 5, -1 AP, but it does do 2 damage, so not a bad weapon there. So he's got the ability called the Moment Shackle, which is once per game he could either regain D3 wounds to himself lost during that phase, or at the end of a fight phase he could pile in an attack with himself 1 more additional time, being that he's a monster himself, basically. Not literally, but that's not a bad move. Or he can regain up to D3 command points spent when he uses a stratagem, which could be key, because then you're going to get back at least 1, possibly 3. So that's strong. And he's got a 3+ invulnerable save on top of his 2+ save, so he's ridiculous. He's also got Aegis of the Emperor, and he's a legendary commander, which says you can reroll hit rolls and wound rolls of 1 made for friendly Adeptus Custodes units within 6 inches of Trajan Valoris. almost no reason not to have him in your army unless you just don't play with named characters, because that guy is ridiculous. And I'm really interested to see what's going to happen with the unveiling on the Horus Heresy for the Forge World Weekender that's coming up, because they've got the 30K, not Trajan Valoris, but the his name's escaping me, the guy who was originally the in charge of the Adeptus Custodes with while the Emperor was still alive. So, and that guy was in 30K rules is ridiculous too. So you got a basic shield captain, and as it compares to Captain General, it's got one less wound and one less leadership, and then it doesn't have access to some of his special rules or the Watcher's Axe, but the Castellan Axe is one less strength than the Watcher's Axe in shooting, and you get +3 strength, so you're still attacking at strength 8. You're going to like instant kill a lot of marine equivalents and stuff. -2 AP, so shows you how much stronger Trajan Valoris really is. Of course, you can take a Misericordia again, and it can replace its Guardian Spear with Sentinel Blade or a Castellan Axe. I would go with the Castellan Axe. The Sentinel Blade has the advantage, or not the Sentinel Blade, but the Guardian Spear has a slight advantage when it comes to the armor penetration value compared to the Castellan Axe, but I would take the +2 strength as opposed to the extra -1 AP, and that's just me. And then shooting wise, they're identical, so definitely go that route. I'd probably pass on the Storm Shield with this guy. No reason to have the 3+ invulnerable save with him, because he's already going to get, you know, given all the buffs that can go into this army, he's probably going to end up with a 4+ invulnerable save anyways. And that's situational, of course. So then you've got shield captains and various armor. This one must have just been a normal shield captain, so you could build that one with either the Wardian or the regular Custodians. Shield captain and Alaris Terminator armor gives you a little bit of an upgrade. So you take a pick, you get a ballistas grenade launcher basically, and then you get a couple extra special rules. You got to pay attention to even though it just seems like armor is the difference, you get from the Golden Light with him, and then some other slight differences. So then you get shield captain on Dawn Eagle jet bike. The one thing I do love these models, but the one thing I didn't really like about the shield captain version of it was there didn't seem to be a lot of distinguishment on how to make a shield captain on Dawn Eagle jet bike other than taking his helmet off. But I figure anybody can pretty much have their helmet off. But you know, so goes with the typical 40K. You're either pointing or you have your helmet off, or both, and that's how you designate that you're a leader and all that stuff. So you got the Custodian Guard. The stat lines for this army across the board is pretty standard. I mean, almost everybody's strength 5, toughness 5, except toughness 6 when on the jet bike, of course, and you can move a heck of a lot faster on the jet bike. So you can have units now of 3 Custodian Guard, up to 10 in total for a unit. That'd be a heck of a lot of points or power rating for a unit of 10. I don't think it generally warrants having that many. Units of 5 are pretty strong, because the unit of 5 is going to have 15 wounds, and that's going to be pretty tough. A lot harder to kill than even Primaris Marines. So that's awesome. Custodian Wardens, these guys come in with roughly the same stat line as the Custodian Guards, but they do have access to the very vital Castellan Axe, which makes these guys really strong in hand-to-hand combat against basically anything with a toughness of 4 is going to just melt. Any multi-wound models with toughness 4 are just going to pretty much fall apart with these guys. So in melee, the Guardian Spear does D3 damage, so does the Castellan Axe. You're really just trading off -1 AP for an additional 2 strength. So you're going to wound almost everything on 2s, but then again, with strength 6 on the normal Guardian Spear, you're pretty much wounding everything super easy. Anyways, so they do have Blinding Oath. It says roll a d6 each time this model loses a wound. On a 6, the damage is ignored and that wound is lost. So that's one of the abilities they get that you don't get with the regular Custodian Guard. So you want to keep that in mind. And they also pick up 1 extra attack. That's highly valuable. Then you got the Vexillus Praetor. These are available in different types of armor. So there's the option in every single one of these new kits, except for the Dawn Eagle jet bikes, to be able to build a Vexillus Praetor. So this is the rules for one in Terminator armor. And then you get to choose your version of which type of Vexilla you are. And in Terminator armor, of course, he gets from Golden Light. But basically, these guys, just having one allows you to re-roll the morale test of any Imperium infantry and biker units within 6 inches of the model. In addition, you may add this model, when you add this model to your army, choose one of the following Vexillus. So you've got the Adeptus Custodes. other than vehicles, add 1 to their attack characteristics while they're within 6 inches of this guy. So imagine building like a Death Star with Captain General Trajan Valoris and a Vexilla. You're not only going to reroll 1s onto hits and wounds, but you're going to pick up an additional attack here. There's also a stratagem that allows you to get buffed out when you're within 6 inches or so of a Dreadnought. So that's really going to be quite interesting. The Dreadnought wouldn't pick up the benefit of this extra 1 attack, but all right, so Imperium Infantry. So this isn't just Custodians. This is all Imperium Infantry, but I would just play these guys as a standalone. But all units have a 5+ invulnerable save against ranged weapons while they're wholly within 9 inches of any friendly Vexillus Praetor with this Vexilla. Not going to really benefit too much on the Custodians themselves, so I think we'll pass on that one a lot. Vexilla Magnifica. Your opponent must subtract -1 from hit rolls in the shooting phase for target Adeptus Custodes units within 6 inches of any friendly. So that's great because you're going to be -1 to hit, which could be actually make a big difference, especially against lower weapon skill or lower ballistic skill armies. So that was the one in Terminator armor. You've got the access here to basically the same standards, the same Vexillas on this, but slightly different rules given that this is a standard Vexilla Praetor and this could be one that was in any of the other types of armor. Now the Alaris Custodians, these guys are kind of like the Terminators in the army. They're not the same as the Forge World Terminators you got with the fire pikes and stuff like that, but they're coming in 4 wounds, 4 attacks, and then they've got the ability to come in from Golden Light, which is essentially teleportation. So during deployment, you can set up this unit in a God Strike pattern teleportum array. Instead of placing them on the battlefield, at the end of your movement phase, you can teleport into battle, set them up anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 9 inches away from enemy models. So really, really strong there. There's going to be no deviation when they come in. They just come in exactly where you want to put them on the battlefield, and that's essentially that. They won't be able to move and get into hand-to-hand combat necessarily, but that's up to you. But I think that being able to do that along with some of the other characters and some of the other models in this army gives you a lot of versatile tactical abilities, especially considering the only transport that they seem to have is the Land Raider, and I'm not personally a big fan of Land Raiders, so I know they're very tough. But now you've got the Venerable Contemptor Dreadnought. Its damage scale here: Strength 7, Toughness 7, 10 wounds, and a 2+ save. You've got the standard build out. I mean, I wish that they would allow you to take the Forge World versions in here, or at least have the weapon equivalents for them, but they come with a 5+ invulnerable save also, which is strong, and then on a 6, roll a d6 every time they take a wound, and on a 6 the damage is ignored, so that's also strong. It's in addition to your armor save or your invulnerable save, but they also have explosion. So keep that in mind if you're building a Death Star around these guys, that they do have the ability to explode and can take people out with them. So we got the Veritas Praetors, which are the flying guys, and those guys are tough, fast. They are the opposite of everything else in your army, and they've got an interesting loadout on weapons there. Venerable Land Raider, there you are. It does have some difference. It has Unyielding Ancient is one of the rules that's specific to the Venerable Land Raiders in their army, so that is something to consider to help keep those 16 wounds. Out of 16 wounds, rolling a 6 is going to happen probably about 3 times, almost 3 times on average. Here's your war gear. And then here they are fighting against some corn demons. I love the scenery. These types of things are what, as a kid, picking up the White Dwarf magazines and seeing these huge, nicely painted armies on epic battlefields really created the spirit of Warhammer for me back in the day, and got me really interested in ended up working for Games Workshop. Had fun while doing it, and then they moved to Memphis, and the West Coast offices were closed down. So we've got the stratagems here, lots of them, a ton of them. The relics, which you can give to a shield captain. There's some strong ones in here. We're not going to necessarily go over all of them, but I've read through them before the book was released, and there are definitely some good combinations in there to beef up your shield captain, of which you can obviously have more than one. So there's some more over here on this page. Warlord traits to go over, and that's essentially it. You're getting to the end of it. So comment below if you guys are excited about Adeptus Custodes if you're playing, and then stay tuned. In the near future, we're going to be unboxing some of the new units, building them, painting them up, and bringing them to the tabletop. So this is Budget Wargamer. Stay tuned.